So, when is a good time to DNF a book? To throw in the towel and say, I just can't do it. I just cannot do it. Well, my point was at the 55% mark of R. Scott Baker's The Darkness That Comes Before. I tried. I really, really tried with this book. I wanted to love this book because it has a cult following and it sounds really smart and it sounds like something, at least from the outside looking in, that I would enjoy. Unfortunately, it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Now, why was it not for me? Well, basically because it was just overwhelmingly dense. Just overwhelmingly dense from page 1 on. And I thought after the first few pages, I was like, you know what? Interesting story. Like, it just goes boom. It puts you right into seemingly the end of the world. And then it's like it immediately from that point just takes you out of it. Just completely and totally takes you out of it. It is very philosophical. It's very abstract in its way of thinking. And it's just really just jargon heavy. Like, I mean, this book is more difficult than Malazan, in my personal opinion. And the reason why I say that, at least with Malazan might throw you into something and let you kind of figure it out on your own. To be put your big boy pants on and just literally figure things out as you go. But this book is not like that. This book just goes boom. Here's the information. Boom. Here's the person. Boom. Here's the thing. Boom, here's like this organization or school or whatever it may be. It just throws these titles and names and all of this stuff just after you over and over and over. Like, it's not even like, it don't even give you like a page to even consume it. It just is like, here's a name you've never heard of. Here's a school you've never heard of. Here's another person you've never heard of. And then we're all just talking and we're talking about things and we don't know what we're talking about. And it's just, it was a lot. It was a lot. And another thing that just drove me crazy in this book, and I could have handled it more if there was just a little bit more action, but there is so much internal monologues, and it's all about determinism and logic and consciousness and all of these things along those lines, and just about trying to somewhat give you a little information about these random schools and, about some of these things that's going on in this world, but really not giving you enough to really be able to determine exactly what they're talking about. And by the time you do figure out what they're talking about, you're well done with the sentence or maybe 2 chapters afterwards. That was a problem for me. Now, I don't mind slow reads. I truly don't mind slow reads. In fact, to a certain extent, I actually have a soft spot for slow reads. But when you are literally about 250 to 300 pages into this book, and you, for the 95% of the time, don't even know what's going on, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's not fun. I stopped this book simply because I have too much on my plate, and this book was making me hate reading. It was truly making me hate reading. There's just too many multiple factions. There's too many religions. There's too many political threads that's going on. And all of this is doing before any momentum is even built up. There's too many people that you fall into their heads and you hear their narration and you don't get to enjoy the characters and get to know them, it seems like, as you go. Because you're just constantly going from this character to this character to this character to this character to this character, and you're never being able to return back to the characters that you know or you got somewhat at least familiar with. I'm not saying that I didn't like every character. There was some characters that I actually thought was fairly interesting. But the problem is there was too much of the other ones that I just could not ignore it. I just could not ignore it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, this is why books usually don't go this path, is because you gotta, you know, put in a little bit of threads here and little factions and a little bit of lore here. You know, kind of do it as you go. But when you are just doing it and just throwing it, you know, just vomiting it on a page, it's just too much. At least it was for me. At least it was for me. And as far as the cast, you know, like I said, I enjoyed some of them, but for the most part, there's no clear anchor character. Like, there's no specific point of view, at least from the 55% that I read of it, of where that there's this character that you're supposed to just cling to. There was none of that. There was nothing really, there was no character that made me want to continue. You know, I'm reading, I mean, okay, this book right here. You know, Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. I specifically do not really like this book. I'm having trouble with this book. But do you want to know something? I don't mind reading this book. And the reason why I don't mind reading this book is because there are certain characters that I care about. I do actually understand the world, and I feel comfortable in it. I feel even comfortable with the characters that I don't really enjoy. In the POVs, I don't really enjoy, simply because at least I enjoy the world around it. But when you are a character-driven, or you know, like, you have to be either one. It either has to be really character-driven, or it has to be world-driven. And the truth is I didn't get enough of this world to feel driven to know more about it, and I didn't find anything, because of the grim dark setting of this world and of these characters, for me to really enjoy, to really just like anchor myself to it. I did not find that. So as far as this, I just felt like, to sum it up, too many unfamiliar names, too many unfamiliar titles, and basically, if you want to just say it, it's cognitive overload. It truly was cognitive overload, and it led me to disengagement. Truly led me to disengagement. You know, I hear people say, well, it's got an extremely dark tone. Yes, it kind of starts off in literally a dark way, but that wasn't what got me. I can handle the dark things. Like, I'm used to grimdark. Grimdark don't bother me at that. But so that wasn't even something that was a negative for me. If anything, that would be a positive. It makes the world feel more realistic. My part was my characters just wouldn't shut up, and they wouldn't just start doing stuff. They just kept wanting to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I'm just like, just get up and do something. Like, that's just what I wanted them to do, was just get up and do something. Talk later, or talk after you've accomplished something. But I only got to 2 action scenes throughout this book. Well, really just 2 scenes where that they weren't just sitting around chit-chatting about random things that meant nothing to me. You know, and I guess another thing that maybe was maybe helped cause the DNF too, was it's not the kind of epic fantasy that I went in expecting. I'll be honest, I went in expecting something. I guess when I hear grim dark, I went in there expecting something like A Song of Ice and Fire. I truly did. With this book, I went in thinking, well, it's going to be very similar to A Song of Ice and Fire, because I'm like, it's really grimdark. It's supposed to be really, you know, cutthroat, and there's going to be a lot of horrible things. So, like, my first thought was A Song of Ice and Fire. Nope. Because at least with the Song of Ice and Fire, it just slowly kind of guides you in. And it don't throw a bunch of things at you. It slowly gives you the world around you. And you start caring in A Song in Ice and Fire, at least with that, you start caring about the world around you as much as you care about the specific characters in that world. This, I found no character to cling to. So, I mean, overall, I guess if I'm just summarizing it of why I did not like it, it was very ambiguous. It was too much on philosophy, and that philosophy was taking over where a plot should have been. I never found engagement to it. The pacing was incredibly slow, and I felt no emotional connection to these characters. And that was the biggest issue of it. Now, I know a lot of people will enjoy this book and they will love this book, and I've seen so many great reviews over this book, but unfortunately, this book did not work for me. This is not a bad book, but this is one book that I can honestly say is a book that I might, in some distant future, decide to go back to this and try it for a second time. But I just cannot stand the thought of doing that right now. And I don't know if, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'll ever be able. This feels to me like the hardest DNF that I've ever done on a book. The hardest DNF. This is one book that I literally cannot find a single reason to go back to. And it hurts a little bit because I don't like DNFing books. Because I don't like booktubers who DNF books. So to a certain extent, I feel like I'm letting myself down in that regard. Because I feel, like I said, I feel like if you don't read a book all the way to the end, you have no right to give a opinion over that book. So in this regard, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I'm just want to be clear of why I did not like this book. And that it probably wasn't even the book's fault. It was my fault on this one. Now, earlier I had put off Malazan, but I did not DNF Malazan. Malazan is still on my to-do list. And to be honest, I really thought maybe I should just go right straight to it. But I actually decided on another read instead. And so far, I do not regret it. It's called The Poet Empress. It actually is really heartwarming and touching and interesting world. I'm not very far into it, but I am enjoying it. And look, I can understand the world, and I can really kind of understand the characters and like the characters, and that means so much to me when I'm reading. So I'm sorry I had to DNF the darkness that comes before, but it was just too much. It was just too much. I hope someday I'll change my mind on it, but I highly doubt it's going to be anytime soon. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Am I making a mistake? Because I'll be honest with you, I feel like I've never been sure about something in my entire life about DNFing this book. It bothers me that I'm doing it, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, but you had to. And so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this one of your favorite books? Why should I give it a chance? Please tell me that it gets so much better later on, and I might decide to go back to it later. So let me know in the comments below, and as always, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.